Hello, Sweet Dragon Leah. This game is called Depression Quest, and when I was playing it last night to get a feel for the game, it said that it can cause triggers for depression, and you probably shouldn't play it if you're suicidal. Well, I'll read the description here in the beginning, and it'll explain it better than I could. So here we go. Reading the little box right here. Its emotional character is probably mostly indescribable, except as sort of a double bind in which any or all of the alternatives we associate with human agency, sitting or standing, doing or resting, speaking or keeping silent, living or dying, are not just unpleasant but literally horrible. David Foster Wallace. Sorry if I get really close to the camera. I'm supposed to be wearing glasses, but they're broken. So I need to get new glasses, and for a while, until I can get new glasses, which will probably be after I move, I'm going to be kind of squinting or in the camera. I do apologize. I know I'm terribly ugly and don't want to see my face. Such a whore mouth.
That's the truth.
Depression Quest is a game that deals with living with depression in a very literal way. This game is not meant to be fun or lighthearted experience. If you are currently suffering from the illness and are easily triggered, please be aware that this game uses stark depictions of people in very dark places. If you're suicidal, please stop playing the game and visit this link to talk to someone. If you want to visit the link, you can either download the game, or you can go in the comment box and I'll leave a comment and I'll go back and click the link for you.
I'm almost about to cry.
It's a sad game, okay? It's very sad. I was on the brink of having another depression moment while playing this.
Then why'd you play it?
Because I had to. The goal of this game is twofold. Firstly, we want to illustrate as clearly as possible what depression is like, so that it may better be understood by people without depression. Hopefully this can be something to spread awareness and fight against the social stigma and misunderstandings that depression sufferers face. Secondly, our hope is that in presenting as a real simulation of depression as possible, other sufferers will come to know that they aren't alone, and hopefully derive some measure of comfort from that. It goes without saying that because of the very nature of depression, it is experienced differently by every person who suffers from it. We aren't trying to say that this is the best or most accurate representation, merely that is I cannot say that word because I'm having trouble speaking today. I apologize. So I'm sorry, but I'm just going to skip the word. I'm sorry if it bothers anyone. Of the experience of the developers and several people close to them, many of the following encounters deal with issues such as therapy, medication, handling a love life, and reasons such a lack of money, perceived personal failing, or public stigma. These things are included in order to touch upon the broad range of possibilities, since these elements can be very important to sufferers of depression, though they will likely not be the experiences of most sufferers. It is important to recognize that not everyone with depression is so lucky. Many people with the illness don't have a lot of the luxuries we have in this game. We've written it this way so that we can focus specifically on the illness, which becomes more and more difficult to deal with as the person who has it is less and less well off. For that reason, a portion of the proceeds for this game will be donated to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline to help support depression treatment and education. Pay what you want versions of the game are available on the web, This game uses audio as part of the experience. We encourage you to play with the sound on. Thank you for playing. The sound is really loud, so I'm not going to play with the sound on, and it's mostly static sounds, because as I said, I played this last night. So, let's get started, and I apologize if this triggers anything for anyone out there but I do know what you're going through. It is early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex, who you are rather fond of, that you have been seeing exclusively for the past month. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You are also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes make dealing with these things difficult. You feel like it is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you are not quite sure how to break out of it. Other people deal with these feelings and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. This is how the game is going to be the entire time. But it'll give you what the situation is and what your options are. The red ones are crossed out because it's like you can't really do it. You're not motivated to do it. It is an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you found your job motivation flagging more than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half of the time, and yet you seem to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early barely registers. As you walk home on the streets hiss from the recent rainfall, you know your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using the serendipitous solitude, can't speak today, solitude to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at your home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your mind unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work it seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted, and you feel strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something? Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half hour to unwind from work. Or crawl into bed. You're so stressed and overwhelmed that you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyway. Okay. I have to check the time here. I think I would turn on the TV. So, I think that's what I did sometimes. Just half an hour of TV, you tell yourself, absently grasping for the remote. You don't so much as sit down on the couch and sink into it. You turn on the TV and start going through your usual channel routines. After a few cycles of this, you realize that you're not really doing much more than some calisthenics and absently killing time. You check the clock and see that over 20 minutes have already passed since you sat down. As your self-imposed time limit creeps ever nearer, you become more anxious. You stand up and walk to the fridge, telling yourself, I'll just make a quick sandwich and get to work after that. Can't be productive on an empty stomach, right? As you eat, you start pacing around your apartment, heading past your bedroom in the process. You stop in the doorway, as if physically unable to cross the threshold. Familiar waves of exhaustion start racking you, and you feel simultaneously tired and panicked. You close your door and head back to the couch. Yet, it's still early yet, you tell yourself. As long as I get to work in an hour, I'll have plenty of time to be productive. As you flip the channels and let the CSI and Jeopardy reruns wash over you, you sink deeper into the couch, feeling at once encroached upon and shielded by being quite literally swallowed up by it. As the second hour draws nearer, sure enough, you find yourself getting anxious and jittery. You repeat the fridge pace couch process a couple more times before you look at the clock and realize that several hours have passed, and not surprisingly, you've managed to get no work done. You crawl into bed, acutely aware of the fact that you have work in the morning, and any opportunity you had to catch up on your own creative endeavors today was squandered. You're feeling so disgusted with yourself that when Alex calls to talk to you on her way home from class, you simply say you had a really rough day at work and you're trying to rest up before you shift tomorrow. She says she understands and wishes you a good night, though you can't help but notice she sounds slightly disappointed. Ironically, the stress of potentially upsetting your partner compounds with the stress of not having gotten anything done in the evening and the stress of having to go to work tomorrow. The buzzing anxiety in your brain melts together with your body's utter physical exhaustion, and you sink into a semi-hypnagogic, anxious funk, too tired to try to work, but too anxious to fall asleep for several hours. You guys if you guys want, I'll read these, but I kind of skip over them because they say just about the same thing. Occasionally the one on the top switches, but not very often. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that is one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you get along well enough but aren't particularly close. You don't have to work in the morning and have nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you have been fatigued most of the time lately. You mention that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how to explain those feelings to someone else, and you say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over your phone, but you can swear you hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week, and she sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do? Agree to go, or say that you're really just not feeling well and can't make it? I think I would go. You agree to go even though you're really not feeling social. You know it's important to Alex and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there's already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steel your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder, and she turns back to apologizing, lets you know that they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to bed with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognize. Awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure of what else to do. Put your bag in Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer, and wait for your girlfriend to return, or proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less uncomfortable. I think I would have gone and avoided everyone. Take your beer and shift through the crowd until you arrive at Alex's room. The room is actually empty of other partygoers, and you sit on the bed and as you set your bag down. Thankful for the personal space and the feeling of less claustrophobic, you mess around on your phone while you sip at your beer. You keep telling yourself you'll go back out in 5 more minutes, but every time the time rolls around, you go back out and you feel the same panic creep on, and you stay rooted to the spot. You figure no one is here, no one knows you anyway, so it's unlikely that you will be missed. A few minutes later, Alex comes into the room. Oh, there you are. I was wondering where you'd gone off to. Figured I might find you here. She sits down on the bed next to you, buzzed enough to be slurring slightly. I'm really glad you turned up tonight. To be honest, I really didn't think you'd show. It's really cool you did. Really. You know she meant it lovingly, but you're not sure how you feel about this statement. Well, I'm going to leave it off here for now. I'll continue it soon. We'll see how it goes. Bye!